Congratulations, you finally got the IMT interview. Well done. And how do I know about it? Well, because everybody in the hospital is literally talking about it. I have had so many people come up to me and ask, how do I get started? What do I do for the interview? My WhatsApp is flooded with these questions. My Instagram is flooded with these questions. Where do I start? What do I do? This is exactly what we're going to talk about in this particular video on the channel. But before we get started, why me? Why am I talking about it? Well, for those of you who are new to the channel, I am a doctor from India. I moved last year to UK as a non-trainee, and this year I've started my journey as an IMT trainee. This is my first year, which means that I sat for my interview this year in the beginning of January because I applied for the IMT year 2024. So I recently sat for the interview and I'm basically sharing my experience. I'll tell you about what all things worked for me and what all mistakes I made so that you don't repeat them in your interviews, and hopefully you can get the highest possible score that is humanly possible in the IMT. Now before we move on, let me just talk about why interview score is really important, right? So interview score is going to be one of the things that makes your overall score or overall rank in the IMT applications, which is very important when you're selecting your preferences in the interview, right? For example, it is going to be accumulation of your overall score. Your overall IMT score is going to be accumulation or a sum of your portfolio score, which is exactly what you claimed while you were applying for IMT. And then the raw interview score, which is going to be out of 80, you'll be scored out of 60 in this interview. And then they'll add about 20 points of weightage, and then that makes your raw interview score. That interview score, when combined with your portfolio score, decides your overall score, which will further decide your overall rank in the IMT application, all right, for that particular year. Timeline. So I think this is the time where you got the mail, right? Whether you got selected or whether you were not selected for the interview. For those of you who did not get selected, it's all right, guys. I mean, now you know where you lagged in the portfolio, what all weak sections you had in the portfolio, and next time when you're applying for IMT, you can work on those areas, get a better score, and make the cut. And hopefully by that time you'll be more prepared and will be on the top of your game. All right. For those of you who got selected, you've come to the right video. I think this is the time when you got the mail, and you'll also be getting a link to book the deanery and the time slot for your interview. So basically, the entire interview slots are spread over a period of 4 weeks, beginning from sometime in January to the early weeks of February, if I'm not wrong, if that has not changed since the last year or since the last time when I sat for the interview. So at that time, we got to select our own deanery and we got to select the time slots. Please book your slots as soon as possible because everyone's chasing that, right? So in order to get the slot for your preference based on the days when you are free, just book it, all right? Don't put a lot of thought into it. Don't put a lot of pressure into that, because I think the first time when the interview starts, there's about a month gap from today to the time the interview is going to start or the interview slots will open up. So you have a good enough time to prepare. Based on your free days, just book it as soon as possible. And apart from that, let's talk about deanery. So many people in the hospital have asked me this very question, that should I go for the deanery that I'm currently working in? And then what happens to the IMG people who haven't really worked in the NHS and are still sitting for the interview? They know nothing about the deanery. And does that deanery remain the same when they're applying for the IMT positions? As in, if I sat for West Midlands deanery, only choosing among all the IMT positions in that particular deanery. So firstly, you can choose any deanery you want. It's all on a first come first serve basis. What did I choose? I chose London deanery. I had some reasons for choosing that particular deanery. A, because at that time I was working in West Midlands deanery, and I had spent a bit of time in UK, and at that time I knew that I don't definitely want to sit for the deaneries where my accent might be an issue. So I've got this very Indian accent, right? And I knew that interview was mainly based on communication skills. So in order to perform well in the interview, I wanted to make sure that I understood them and they understood me, right? So for that, I definitely knew that I'm not going to go for Northern Ireland, I'm not going to go for Scotland deanery and stuff like that. I'm going to stick to the sort of the common deaneries or the popular deaneries, because chances are they will have more IMGs like me and they would be well suited to understand me better. So let's talk about the interview score. So, or the basic structure of the interview. So so the raw interview score is basically 60. The interview lasts for about 60 minutes and it's divided into 6 areas or 6 sections. So the 6 sections are application and achievements, suitability for IMT, clinical scenario handover, ethical scenario, which also includes questions on clinical governance and stuff like that. And the last section would be communication skills. Now, out of all of these sections, you'll have proper 5 to 9 minutes for all of these sections, for the first 5 sections. But for the 6th section, which is the communication skills section, you won't have a separate section or separate question for your communication skills. It's just going to be based on your overall performance during the interview. Alright, so you sat for the interview, you got an interview score. Now, in order for you to be considered appointability requirements are none of the 12 interview scores can be 1 out of 5. So make sure that you score at least 2 in each of these sections by both the interviewers. No more than 2 of your 8 interview scores can be 2 out of 5. And your total raw interview score should be more than 36. Once you've met this criteria, you will be considered appointable. This is when they will add your raw interview score to your portfolio score, which is out of 30 these days. In my time, it was 40. And then they will give you an overall score, which will decide your overall rank in the IMT. And then you'll get to decide your position and whatever. And life will be great again. So the first section is the application or the achievement bit. So the interview starts with a 2-minute introduction. You basically have to talk about your achievements and why do you think that you're suitable for IMT. Now, there are 2 different ways to go about it. Like some people like to mention all of the things in the interview or in the portfolio, and they try to mention each and everything possible just so that the interviewers can tick it off and they'll be like, yeah, so this person has this and that and okay, so alright, great. So this is one thing that people do. The other thing is, because it's just going to be limited to 2 minutes, the entire introduction, instead of rushing and talking about each and every section, they highlight 1 or 2 things they definitely want them to talk about, right? This is what I did and it worked out well for me. I definitely knew that there were certain areas that I definitely want them to talk about. These are the areas that I was most proud of and I knew that I had a little something to tell about it. I basically started with, okay, I'm so and so person and I think I'm suitable for IMT because, well, I have been doing the same job as a non-trainee and I think I know all of these things. And then I talked about research and all that. And this is what exactly happened. So I talked about research and stuff and then they asked me about one of my publications or one of the papers that I published based on suitability for IMT. So in that, basically they'll ask a follow-up question like I mentioned, and they can also ask you questions about the IMT journey, like why have you chosen IMT? What all do you want to do when it comes to becoming a registrar, or what specialty you want to apply for? So prepare questions in that area. So I did not prepare a lot, but yeah, you do that, okay? So I was giving vague answers at that time, but please try and prepare things for that particular section because they would want to know. Because if you are prepared for a particular course, why exactly are you prepared? What exactly are you aiming for? So have that aim in your mind when you're sitting for the interview. Let's move on to the 3rd section, which is basically the clinical scenario. So the clinical scenario is very easy. I mean, we have done this time and again. It's basically like seeing any other patient in the hospital. So the entire section about the clinical scenario and handover will together last about 8 minutes or so, and they'll give you about 2 to 3 minutes extra to prepare for it. And they'll mention that in the beginning. It's not at all a difficult thing. And in this scenario, what happened was, this is true for me and all of the other people who sat for the interview, who I got an opportunity to talk to. So basically, they want to see your approach towards dealing with a patient or towards diagnosing a patient. So what they want you to do is how you'll see a patient, how you'll what all investigations you would do, how would you diagnose, what would your differentials be, and in the end, how will you manage the patient? Pretty easy. Some people do expect it like as an MCQ, like, okay, this is a question, these are the investigations, what do you think is the diagnosis? This is not exactly true for interviews because they are not testing your knowledge here. They're basically they don't want you to pick out a particular kind of cancer, a particular kind of leukemia based on the blood reports. They don't want that. They just want to see what all investigations you would do, whether you would order that routine blood test or not. Alright, so it's a very basic thing. Another thing about this section is that many people thought that A to E approach, we know about it, we do it on a daily basis. Why talk about it? You can just say that, okay, I'll definitely get this particular investigation done, that particular investigation done. Well, it takes less time to just say A to E approach, and the interviewer knows that, okay, you know about the approach. This is how you're going to examine a patient. I know it's a very basic thing. I know everyone does it, but just mention it in the interview as well, right? Start from there. And then obviously they'll ask you follow-up questions about it, and then you'll come up with answers, and it's going to be fine. The other question that comes after this is the handover scenario. When the handover situation came, I did not pay much attention. I was just waiting. I was looking at the screen and I was waiting for them to show me the question. And they were like, no, it's based on the same question that we talked about. And I was like, but I didn't write anything down because I was just seeing the patient, and now I don't know anything about the patient or the case that I'm going to hand over. So they were like, but you just talked about it, so it's going to be fine. Basically, this was my experience, and I just want you to say that when you get the question, there's a high chance that that question itself is also going to be the handover scenario, obviously. So just jot down the important bits, okay? And try to follow the SBAR approach. So you'll be given a pen and paper to jot down the details. So, or whatever things that you think are relevant for the handover or whatever. I did not know that. I didn't pay much attention to it. But now that you know, do that. And prepare for the handover while you're preparing your case for the clinical scenario. Now let's move on to the clinical scenario. So in the clinical scenario, it's again very easy. They don't want you to walk them through. So they give you a question about somebody bullying and this and that, and how you'll approach. What do you do? So the approach that I followed for clinical scenarios was a STAR approach, which is situation, task, action, and reflection. You can read more about it in the preparation material, which I'll talk about in great depth later in the video. When it comes to clinical governance scenarios, so there are two interviewers, right? One of them will ask you an ethical scenario and ask you questions on that, and the other person can ask you questions on clinical governance, right? About all of these things will last for about 5 minutes. So the important things that I noted, like the topics that they usually like to talk about or ask questions on, would be mental capacity, decisions relating to DNA, CPR, patient confidentiality, patient safety incidents or DATEX that we talk about, conflict resolution with colleagues, and how to escalate matters appropriately. All of these things are basically what they're looking for. I don't know if this happened to a lot of people, but with one of the candidates, they did ask a question about that particular deanery when it comes to like what are the principles of the deanery. I'm not very sure, but that did happen. So if you get a chance, just go through that as well, right? But yeah, mostly they talk about audits. For me, in this particular scenario, they did ask me about the audits that I have done and what all things that you do participate in clinical governance, like what all elements are there in clinical governance, the umbrella and all of those things. All right. Yeah, and then the sixth section, which is the overall communication skill, which I mentioned is not a particular section, but they give you scores based on your overall performance during the interview. All right. Now let's talk about the preparation material, because that's what you guys want to know, right? So I think most people get about a month's time to prepare for the interview. Please do that, okay? Because I prepared for only a week. And I was like, it's just an interview. It's just going to be a chill thing. It's fine. And then one of my registrars comes up to me a week before my interview. And he's like, oh, so have you booked your slot yet? I'm like, yeah, long ago. And he's like, all right. So how have you prepared? Let's ask you some questions. Let's do a mock interview. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not prepared yet. I'll start preparing from today or tomorrow or whatever. And he's like, you're telling me that you've got just 1 week and you haven't started preparing yet? And I was like, yeah, but it's just an interview and just for 30 minutes. And he's like, yeah, but you're stupid. You should be preparing for it, because this is the most important thing when it comes to applying for IIMT. And he was like, today you're going to stay back in the hospital and start preparing, okay? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I need to do. Anyway, so I didn't give it, and only when I started preparing for the interview, I realized that, oh my God, there's so much to cover. I mean, there were so many weak areas that I had. The other reason why I did not prepare, which might be your scenario as well, is because I was applying for 2 training programs at the same time, IMT of course, and then I was also applying for psychiatry training because I thought that's my calling or whatever. It was until I got selected in both of those interviews and I was like, no, I want IMT. Because of that, I was also preparing for my MSRA, and because that was an exam and because we had nerds, I was like, yeah, I'm going to focus on the MCQ exam more than the interviews. Don't do that. Give interviews equal importance as your other exams, if not more. Now let's talk about the preparation material. So the 2 materials that I used and I swear by, those materials are first, MediBuddy. They're not sponsoring the video, but you'll get to practice questions, multiple questions related to each and every section, right? So you'll be given multiple questions where you can just practice the handover skill, or just practice the clinical skill, or just practice the clinical governance. So I was very confused about the clinical governance bit, because I did not know what all questions are included. But they have given multiple examples of all the questions that are asked in the interview, and it gives you a good amount of knowledge and a good amount of experience for the interview. They also give you ideas about the application achievement bit, like how you can present yourself during the interview, because that is the most important thing, right? And that is the only thing that is under control. I mean, literally, interviewers will not say a word. They won't utter a word till you are finished, like till you finish the introduction bit. So it is very important to take it very seriously, and I got to practice that from Medibuddy. I also practiced my handover questions, because I knew that was a weak area for me, and I was fairly new to NHS. I wasn't very familiar with the handover approach, not very confident in that particular section. So that's what I practiced from Medibuddy. And I would say that I was very confident with the handover, okay, just because of Medibuddy, until I messed it up in my own way. But Medibuddy does make you confident. So, and it's not very costly as well. So yeah, if you have to try, and this is your first time sitting for the interview and I don't have much experience, go with Medibuddy. The other study material that I used was ISC Medical, a comprehensive guide to CT, ST, and registrar interview skills. So basically, it mentions registrar and all of those things, but don't freak out. It's just because, well, all of these interviews are pretty much the same. They just want to ensure that you're a safe doctor, you can communicate well, and that's it. Let's also talk about the tips, okay? So I think the most important thing that I would say would be give it time, like I mentioned before. Now, you get about a month, but I think 2 weeks should be more than enough to prepare for the interview. But during the interview, be cool, be calm, and be unique, man. Because I was told that you have to be very confident. You have to show that you are the ultimate candidate. You have to show them that you are an IMT trainee. It's a good thing that these days the interviews are held online, because a lot of things go unnoticed when it comes to online interviews. But when it comes to offline interviews, I'm pretty sure that the anxiety and everything would be much greater, and you would be sweating and they would be able to see and all of those things. The good thing is that won't happen, because it's an online interview and it'll be done in 30 minutes. So just have a fun time, man. Just all the best. Just have a fun time, and I hope you enjoy the experience, and I hope you get really good scores in your interview. And I'll see you guys in my next video. If you have any doubts about the interview, which I'm sure you will, feel free to comment down below, and I'll try to answer the questions as soon as possible. Or you can just DM me on Instagram, as you've been doing, and I'll try to reply to you as soon as possible. I'll see you guys very soon in my next video. Till then, all the best. Bye bye.